This time, we're going to discuss about the different theories on society and state. So, where does this society came from? Why do we have what we call the state? Remember that there are actually three major ideas about the origin and nature of society, how our state is being formed, and the different views about the law, about the governance, and of course, citizenship. So basically, the first one we're going to discuss is that how society as a natural institution. Second one, how society as a product of social contract. And of course, the third one, how is society being governed by our state through these what we call these modernization theories. So the very first one is that society as a natural institution. Ancient Greeks believed that the society and its various institutions are a natural product of man's interaction. Remember that Aristotle believed that human beings are by nature social and political animals and that human interactions fulfill certain basic needs. Now, for Aristotle, society was created naturally. Society was formed for the reason that people tends to do interactions with other human beings. And when they keep on interacting, they also tend to fulfill the certain basic need within a person. And thus, Aristotle considered police or what we call as city-state. Now, what is a police or city-state as stated by Aristotle? Now, in a police or also city-state, this is what we call the highest form or interaction which fulfills the highest need of man, which is self-sufficiency. So it is also the reflection of the natural order as it is composed of people who govern and those who are governed. So in a police or city-state, this is where the interactions, or this is actually where what we call various interactions from different people is highly concentrated. That's why you can actually somehow hear this term metropolis, so meaning it's the city center wherein there are what we call the diverse and contains the highest form of interaction. Now, for Aristotle, it is actually in police or city state wherein there are actually various and diverse human interactions. Now, that's why, as an example, in a metropolis or in a police or in a city state, we can also see or we can actually much observe more example when there are slaves that are expected to perform their duties for their masters while free men must perform their duties as citizens of the state. So these two interactions existed in a police or in a city state, okay, because again there are various and diverse form of interaction within a police or city state. Now remember that Aristotle believed that it is only by living in a society that a person is able to fulfill his ultimate purpose. Yeah, about society is that society as a product of a social contract. Now, what is a social contract? A social contract is an agreement made by the members of the society that defines and influences their interactions, particularly with those in authority. So, meaning, society was created because there was an agreement within people. There was what we call the social contract. There are actually two ideas about society as a product of social agreement or social contract. So first one, Thomas Hobbes believed that the agreement was necessary or necessitated by the need to guarantee the security of the people. So the main role of the political ruler was to maintain order and security within society. Now because people needed security, society must exist because of that certain agreement. However, for John Locke, for him, he believed that the social contract was needed in order to guarantee the fair and impartial enforcement of the law. So, meaning society is needed in order to have this what we call the fair and impartial enforcement of the law. For John Locke, he believed that human beings live in a state of a nature governed by rationality and natural law. But basically, the primary function of the state or our government as defined by the social contract is to guarantee that individuals exercise their natural rights to life, liberty, and property. Now, this right to life, liberty, and property existed even in our current 1987 Constitution. So there are actually four modernization theories as to how a society is being governed by our state. So for one, we have also what we call this historical materialist perspective. Second, we have the rationalization and bureaucratization. Third, we have the society was formed also or governed by this mechanical solidarity. And the fourth one is through what we call this organic solidarity. Now, for historical materialist perspective, this actually developed by Karl Marx and Friedrich Engels. Now, remember, for Friedrich, especially for Friedrich Engels, he focuses on what we call the accumulation of wealth and private property. So, based on the previous discussion, Karl Marx and Friedrich Engels asserts that societies evolve in stages. So we need to undergo certain stages. And also it relates to the development of the means of production and its ownership. So the more wealth you have, the more property you have, eventually the more power you also going to have. Now here, the state is viewed as the instrument of the ruling class to maintain its control over the means of production. So meaning, it's the government, it's our government that is viewed as the one who has the power, okay, to control the means of production. Now, for the historical materialist perspective, also, society is seen as being in a continuous state of conflict as the different classes within society attempt to control the means of production. Because again, because of this accumulation of wealth and property, there is also what we call this constant power struggle between the people who accumulated much more wealth and for those who are still trying to accumulate more and more but still having less. The second one is we have rationalization and bureaucratization. So this is proposed by Max Weber. Now here in rationalization and bureaucratization, it is when there is a much more specialized functions to be performed by social institutions as societies expand economically. So meaning for social institutions such as within the family or within the society, okay, there is a specialized functions that we need to perform. Now, the state bureaucracy became larger in size and its agencies became specialized, requiring qualified personnel. So we also have this what we call bureaucratic government. Okay, later on, I will be discussing as to what is this bureaucracy, what is this bureaucratization. Now, in rationalization and bureaucratization, in early stages of social development, the types of authority that dominated were the traditional ones. Now, what do you mean by the traditional ones? Meaning, your leadership was just passed on from an elders towards you. So, from a clan, an elder clan towards the younger clan or for the next generation. Such as traditional type of authority, such as a king being passed on the throne to his son. And also we have the charismatic form. Now, charismatic form is that you are being voted because people love you or you are being voted because people like you. Okay, so you are in the position because people like you. Okay. Now, in modern industrial societies, leadership was based on a rational legal framework. Now, ma'am, what is this rational legal framework? Rational legal framework is when there is this certain qualifications before you are being chosen, okay? That you cannot run for a certain position if you were not able to qualify for their specific qualifications. Bureaucracy came from the two words. One is from a French word, bureau, which means office, and a Greek word, kratos, which means hierarchy. So basically, when we say bureaucracy, it's a hierarchy of office, and it also means rule by officials. Now, this also refers to the system of administration of any large institution. Usually, if you are into a bureaucratic government, this is actually considered as per Max Weber, as characterized by rationality, rule-governed behavior, and impersonal authority. Now, in bureaucracy, you're actually going to follow certain offices because there is specializations within these offices. It's like you cannot directly go to the president's office unless otherwise you were able to undergo certain process or to certain departments first. In Philippines, you're actually into what we call this bureaucratic government. So before you're going to have a bigger case or a case that will go to the Supreme Court, you need first to go with a barangay blotter, and then afterwards going to a much more higher office before it will reach to the highest court or to the Supreme Court. The third modernization theory, as proposed by Emil Durkheim, is that our society is somehow also formed, or somehow we have this what we call mechanical solidarity, which contains the sense of bonding within the community based on similar beliefs, values, and activities, as well as kinship ties between its members. So, meaning that community was actually created and somehow governed because you have their kinship ties, you have their similar beliefs, similar values, and activities. Last one is we have what we call organic solidarity, where there is what we call the division of labor that is much more specialized. And also here in organic solidarity, especially in modern societies, since individuals are not self-sufficient, we need to depend on people for many things. So basically, when we talk about organic solidarity, this is a type of society that has its specialization or usually governed by different departments that has its own specialization. Not primarily based on kinship ties or beliefs, but it is more on you were grouped together, you were together because you have the specific functions.